Good evening, or Shabbos. This week's Parashas Toldos, and in this Parsha, we see that we learn two things: a contradiction and a similarity between last week's Parashas Chayasara, and this week's Parashas Toldos. We see that in last week's Parsha that Abraham, um, when they went to him and his wife Sarah, when they went to over to Egypt, Abraham says to Sarah, "I now realize how beautiful you are. Please tell Egyptians that I am your brother, you're my sister, so that they would take pity and they would not kill me because of you." We see here in Toldos that Isaac also goes over to Egypt with his wife Rebecca, but instead of saying anything to his wife Rebecca, he tells the Egyptians them straightforward that she is his sister, so that nothing would happen to her. You see a contradiction there that Abraham communicates with his wife Sarah, but Isaac doesn't communicate with Rebecca. You see the implicit, explicit communication going on there. So I read in Sason V'Simcha. It's an anthology of the great Torah for Shir Brachos. It's a great book so far. It says here, another difference between the two stories is how the true relationship of husband and wife is discovered. In Avram's case, an angel appears to Pharaoh and threatens him. But in Yitzhak's case, Abimelech, the king of Gerar, himself discovers the truth when he sees Yitzhak and Rivka being intimate with each other. So you see, it's not necessarily it's found out not by being told, found out by being seen. So again, you see that implicit, explicit communication going on there. And it says, moreover, the Torah records that Yitzhak loved his wife, a fact not explicitly mentioned to Abraham and Sarah. From a reading of the text, it seems fair to post it that the Torah is delineating two typologies of conceptual marriages. One where communication is explicit, the other where it is implicit. By revealing these aspects of the interrelationships of a patriarchs and matriarchs, the Torah teaches that by marrying, a couple does not embark on something novel and new. The fathers and mothers did it before them. Two people from two different backgrounds and two different distinct parentheses can become soulmates. Two bodies, say the scholars of Kabbalah, can become one soul. However, work commitment and stick-to-itness are required. Anything meaningful in life requires effort. So you see that there are two successful ways to have marriage. One is through communication that's explicit, that's straightforward, telling them straight out, look at me, I'm telling you what I think about you. The other is more implicit, it's inside, where you just look at somebody and you know what they're thinking of. And you don't need to tell them, you don't need to say anything. And we learn that marriage isn't something that's new, it's not something that we thought up ourselves, something that's been going on for centuries, for thousands of years, in fact, to Abraham, and in fact to Adam and Eve. So we see here another important thing about marriage, that there's not only one way to have a successful marriage. There's many ways to have marriage that works out perfectly. You should find what works out for you. And the Rambam, codifying laws of marriage in Mishnah Torah, incorporates the words of the Talmud, waxing elegant and decidedly non-halakhic. He writes, our sages commanded that a man honor his wife more than himself, and love her more than seems necessary. Find the longing of his heart and remove everything he hates. It's in Hilchos Issues 15, 19, and 20. So we can skip into this a little bit, that Abraham and Isaac both loved their Nakalas, Sarah and Rebecca, and didn't want to hurt them. So they kind of hid who they were so that they wouldn't go through the pain of losing a husband and becoming a widow. We also see in this parsha the battle between Esau and Yaakov. Now we see that when Rebecca is pregnant, it's brought down that when she carried two twins, each different personalities. Now, when she passed a taste of sin, of idol worship, one of the bodies inside her womb, would move around, would stir, and get excited. She passed a synagogue or a place of Judaism of godliness. The other one would stir and have fun, enjoy, and go crazy. So we see the distinction between Esau and Yaakov. Yaakov is the good inclination, and Esau is the bad inclination, the evil inclination. The Yetzer Hara, and Yaakov is the Yetzer Tov. Now we see that Rabbi Nachman of Breslov brings down, and from here on out, if I mention the Rebbe, it's referring to Nachman of Breslov, not to the Rebbe of Chabad. The Rebbe, in my case, is Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. We see the Rabbi Nachman in his Likutei Moharan in the second lesson, the first lesson, chapter 2, brings down that someone who goes away from Torah, who doesn't study Torah, is known as someone who goes into the way of the Yetzer Tov, the Yetzer Hara, because Torah study is a way to overcome the Yetzer Hara, or the inclination. By studying Torah, saying the words are good, someone is going to come out of that being positive and uplift himself. By someone who goes in the ways of evil, of good in Torah, as long as he gets the Tov, and he's a good person, a righteous person. Whereas there's also someone who goes into ways of the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, is someone who is very haughty, and also someone who takes for himself instead of asking. He just takes and demands. Esau in this parsha, he demands of Yaakov that he gives him soup to eat, and he gives him soup to eat, and he also belittles his birthright. Esau was the firstborn. He came out first. He was reserved the price of the first blessing of the firstborn, but for a bowl of soup, he sells it away to Yaakov. He belittles his birthright, right given to him by Hashem. So we see there that the Yetzer Hara comes into place, where he doesn't really care about what's going on outside himself, for himself. There's more to bring up here. I'm trying to find. So it brings down that Yaakov sort of tricked his father. But why would it say that? That Yaakov tricked his father, deceived him into giving him a blessing. So it says that he knew it was right to do it, because if you don't know what happened, Isaac is about to die, and he wants to bless his son. Esau was the firstborn, right? And Yaakov knows that, and so does his mother, Rebecca, know that Yaakov is told by God that he will bless him, that his sons will be the leaders of the Israelites, the Jews, us, the 12 tribes come from Yaakov, and that if Esau got the blessing, it might not come true that Yaakov, his sons, would be like that. So in order to encourage him to get the blessing, we see that Rebecca puts a fur thing on his hands and arms, that he would be like Esau, that to touch of his father Isaac, who I believe had lost sight and wasn't seen very clearly. And we see that because of this is a seed that Rebecca did to her husband, that's okay for Isaac to to do it, to deceive his father, to tell his father he's really Esau when he's really not, when he's really Yaakov. It says here in Parashas Shabbos, maybe the Vagos to get it. It says, how could Yaakov use deceit to his father? Yaakov knew that he was supposed to be used to deceit. He learned from this from his mother, who through prophecy, had dressed him like Esau. Thus he knew that it was God's will that he receive the best things from his father in such a way. It seems also that the Yitzhak thought that it would be more correct to bless Esau, since he needed more help in doing God's will. Yaakov has strong willpower, but Esau lacked self-control and needed external encouragement, such as prosperity, which he would have received through these blessings. However, God told Rivka that this reasoning was wrong and the blessing should go to Yaakov. The reason why the blessings had to be given to in a matter of deceit may be so that they will be hidden in disguise. We find this principle in the words of our sages who said, the blessing is only found in something that is hidden from the eyes. Thus, there's a need that a blessing come in disguise. Even though we do find blessings that were given openly, such as Yaakov blessed Ephraim and Manasseh, hidden blessings were much more crucial since it was about to be decided who would be the more dominant nation, in the sense of Yaakov and those of Esau. So the blessing needed to be disguised in order for it to succeed. Now we see that not only is the blessings disguised here, but in history, the true tzaddikim wouldn't reveal stuff until very late in life, until they were needed at that point. So only when a blessing is needed is it revealed out in public, when it's very rightfully out. But when it's not really, it's not, then it's hidden away and it's kept secret, only in disguise that blessing is going to who is going to. My bracha to you guys is that you grow in your Yiddishkeit, you grow in your mitzvahs, you follow Yetzirah Tov and not Yetzirah, that you live a life following that of Yaakov, who was a soft-spoken person, who didn't cheat, and not one of Esau, who lived the life of deceit, who constantly deceived his father and thinking he was a good person. Wish you good Shabbos and great weekend. I'll see you next week. Shabbos.